There are different approaches you can take to the NFL draft every year. You can be the type of team that gets really aggressive and says, we got our guy, we know who our guy is, and we're going to go get him no matter what. You look at 2016, the Rams and the Eagles both maneuvered themselves up to be able to get to picks 1 and 2 respectively to draft, first for the Rams, Jared Goff, and then for the Eagles, Carson Wentz. And you could say that was a great strategy. The reason it was a great strategy is because ultimately it worked out. Many other teams trade up, and it doesn't work out so well. Other times, trading up does make a lot of sense. Then you've got those teams where they trade back a lot, like the Patriots are notorious for trading around, trading sometimes up, but usually back. And it's worked for them, even if the draft results aren't always great. It's worked well enough at times to really work, and it's been a part of the foundation of a dynasty. And then sometimes you just sit there and twiddle your thumbs, and I caught that, sweet Jesus, and you just sit there. You just wait. You let other things happen in front of you. You let the draft play out. You stay true to your board, and you take whoever falls into your lap that's the best player available. And that can be a great strategy, and sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good. And typically what happens is if you've got a draft where you've got several quarterbacks are going to go high, or certain classes like last year with the wide receivers, you get a situation where maybe the class isn't all that good, a couple of them are highly thought of, so they go way too high. You look at last year's draft, you had 3 receivers go in the top 10, 2 of whom to me had absolutely no business going there, in Mike Williams and John Ross, but then you also had 3 quarterbacks go in the top 12. You got Trubisky going number 2. You've got Mahomes going number 10. You've got Watson going number 12. So what happens in those cases is, naturally, there's only so many slots. Good players, really good players, potentially great players are going to fall down the board. And it feels exactly like that's what happened this year in the draft. You get 4 quarterbacks going in the top 10 picks. That is naturally going to drop other players at other positions down. And in some cases, better players that just happen to not be quarterbacks. And when you get into the middle of round 1, you get into a position where you could end up with a stud or 2 that falls into your lap that you felt like you had absolutely no business being able to draft, but lo and behold, there you go. And that's what the Chargers found themselves in. They just sat there at 17, and they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and they waited. And once you got past pick 15, once you got past the Raiders and them taking Colton Miller, the realization was there that the Chargers were either going to end up with Tremaine Edmonds or Derwin James if they so chose. The Bills trade up in front of them and take Tremaine Edmonds. All of a sudden, the Chargers are staring in the face of an impact Weddle type of safety, probably better, a alpha dog leader for their defense, a top 5 player in my estimation in this draft, an Eric Berry type if you want to be technical, and Derwin James, and they got him at pick 17. Like, that almost feels like one of those mic drop, walk-off type of moments. That's pretty much what it was for the Chargers. The first round couldn't have gone better. And they didn't have to do a damn thing. Just hurry up and wait. Just wait and let the board fall as it may. And in the process, the Chargers got one of the best players in this entire draft at pick 17. It's just insane how these things work out. It's absolutely insane. But outside of just the travesty that was Derwin James falling to 17 and the criminal act that the Chargers were able to commit by taking Derwin James at 17, I mean, this is a type of felony, the type of armed robbery that gets you thrown in the pound-me-in-the-ass federal prison. That's what this type of crime is. And the Chargers were able to pull it off, and it was perfectly legal. I thought in general, though, when I looked at the entirety of the body of the work of the draft, I thought the class was pretty solid. No picks that I disagreed with wholeheartedly. Every pick to me made sense. Every pick looked like a guy that could potentially contribute. Nwosu in round 2. I guess you could say you can never have enough edge rushers in the league. Here's another guy. You throw him in the rotation with Ingram and Bosa. Yeah, granted, you might line him up at linebacker. Think of him as an Anthony Barr type perhaps. But here's a guy that can get after the quarterback a little bit. And again, you can always use more pass rushers. You know, I look at Justin Jones, should provide some rotational depth, maybe help improve their running game up the middle. Kyzir White, the safety from West Virginia, right about where he should have been taken. He could potentially be a starter down the road, or at least a special teams guy, a role player type of guy, situational sub-package guy. Solid value round 4. Scott Quessenberry. Talking about round 5. Could he be a future starter at some point in time, or at least provide you some interior line depth? Dylan Cantrell, the wide receiver from Texas Tech. I think I liked him more than other people might have liked him, and I thought getting him in the 6th round was a bit of a value, a bit, dare I say, of a steal. And even Justin Jackson in the 7th round, the running back from Northwestern. This was a guy that was productive in college. He's missing 1 or 2 measurables in terms of size, in terms of pure speed, but he can play. He might be just another guy, but he could still ultimately be your backup to Melvin Gordon. I look at every single pick that the Chargers had, and they just made sense to me. No major gripes. No major complaints. I thought they had one of the best day 3s out of everybody. And when you throw in getting in Derwin James at pick 17, I don't feel like there's a ton to complain about with the Chargers draft.